There we are. Alright, hey guys, so let me level with you. One of the biggest struggles that I've had in my 12 years of being a professional musician and a practicing guitar player is the idea of playing through chord changes. Now, before I got to university, I just thought that all I had to do as a guitar player and as an improviser specifically was just to learn the minor pentatonic scale and maybe a major or minor scale, and then I had the keys to the Ferrari, so to speak. I could improvise and just shred my way in any circumstance and it would work. And it sounded great to me. I listened to all my favorite guitar players. They weren't fancy jazz players, they were just minor pentatonic based, blues based shredders. And I thought that was great. Until I discovered chord changes and how to play over them. I suddenly realized that doing that, playing the minor pentatonic scale over everything, was kind of like using a chess set to play checkers. And I realized that it was fine, it worked, but there was so much more that could be done and could be said on the guitar. So anyway, here we are, 12 years later. Every day I still practice how to play over chord changes. I'm still working on the skill. I'm still working on different ways to do it. And I think it's something that I'll be doing for the rest of my life. So I'm going to give you guys a quick demonstration today of what playing over chord changes means and why it's important, and an example for how we can get going with that ourselves. So the idea, once you get your head around it, is pretty simple. Basically, the idea is when you're playing or improvising or writing a melody over any particular chord, there are some notes that will work really well, and there are some notes that will work really badly. For example, if we're in the key of A minor here and I play this note, it just sounds awful. But if I play this note over the A minor, it sounds beautiful. And basically any note that you find in your chord will work really well in an improvising or a songwriting context. Basically the idea that we've learned as guitar players is that if you're in the key of A minor, you can use your A minor pentatonic or your A minor scale for the whole thing and it'll sound great. And it will for most parts. Until you start getting to certain scenarios. Like for example, if we're in the key of A minor, one chord, in fact, the chord that you will hear most commonly with that in songwriting would be your E7. Like that kind of thing. So now, the E7 is what we would call your 5 chord. It's dominant. It's dominant because it wants to resolve back to A minor. Now that's all great, that's pretty simple so far. But now, if you try use that A minor pentatonic over that E7 chord, you start having some problems. The biggest problem comes in the third of the E7, which in this case is a G sharp note. This note. Now that note does not appear in that minor pentatonic scale. What you do have instead is that note. So we've got your A in your scale, but the chord is playing that note. Now if you play them both at the same time, you get this kind of thing, which jazz musicians would call a clam. And we don't like clams. We don't want those. And as soon as you play one, then all the jazz musicians will hear that and go, ah, he doesn't know how to play the chord changes. So what we have to do, and what we're going to do today, is modify our A minor pentatonic scale to compensate for that chord change. Now there are literally thousands of ways that you could improvise over an E7 chord. I think you could literally do a PhD on the topic, but today what we're going to do is very simply modify one note in our A minor pentatonic scale to give us an A minor pentatonic scale of some kind that works over E7. So the basic idea is we're going to take our A minor pentatonic and we're going to take our root note, which in this case is A, and we're going to move it down a semitone. So now we get an A minor pentatonic but with a lowered root note. Like that. And the most important note is this G sharp, and it also appears here and here. So that when we play the E7, it works great. So we got So now, the idea is pretty simple. If you're playing in a minor context in any key, all you have to do is take that minor pentatonic, and when you get to the 5 chord, the dominant, you just replace your root note with a note, a semitone below, and then you can shred away as you normally would with your minor pentatonic scale. It's a pretty exotic sounding scale, to be honest with you, but I think it's pretty cool. And when you play that, jazz musicians will hear your playing and go, wow, that guy's great, he sounds like Robin Ford. So maybe to help us hear in context a little bit better, I've got a backing track that I've had set up on a looping pedal with 2 chords, A minor and E7, and I'm going to adjust my playing as you hear the chords change, and so hopefully you can hear how changing one note can change your playing and it fits with the chords hopefully pretty well. Hear that? Back to that root note. Alright, so I hope that today's introduction to chord changes has been helpful for you. What we've done is really simple. We've just gone through playing through 2 chords and how to adjust your scale to do that. Obviously with this kind of stuff, the sky's the limit. There are thousands and thousands of ways that you can put chords together. There are thousands and thousands of songs that have different chord structures that need to be navigated differently. And so this really is just a drop in the ocean. Please do subscribe on Patreon. Please do follow me here on YouTube. Please do share this with your friends if they might be interested. Leave a comment, and we'll see you guys next time.